Well, good afternoon. Welcome out, or welcome back to Eddie's Attic. Thanks for being part of the Decatur Book Festival. I hope you guys are having a good time and enjoying the weather and seeing a lot of folks out today. This is a festival that we're in Decatur just so proud of, as we are of the people that are participating in it, like this young man right here. Turn off your cell phones if you got it. You're in for about 45 minutes of stories and songs and just a whole bunch of fun. Hopefully you already know this gentleman, but Paul Sanchez, founding member of the rock band Cowboy Mouth, just a fine songwriter in his own right. In fact, you can see him again this evening. He's going to show David Olney and Diane Durrett here later on this evening, so if that interests you, come on back. They'll be glad you did. Paul has got, I think, some books that are going to be for sale back here in the corner by the stage after his reading.
And outside.
And outside.
There you go.
Yeah, we got you covered. We got you covered. Anyway, sit back, have a great time. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Paul Sanchez.
Yeah.
My goodness. I first want to thank Dave Olney for lending me his guitar. I've never done a book festival or a reading before, so I actually didn't know how long I was going to be doing it. When they said 45 minutes, I said, well, I need to sing. And to be honest, it's really impressive to pull into town. I've never been before, and I have no illusions about my ability to do anything other than write songs. I don't consider myself a writer. I'm honored to be a part of a writer's festival. This book in front of me that had got me here is called Pieces of Me. And 4 years ago there was a flood in New Orleans that a lot of y'all probably know about. And I lost my home, I lost everything I owned. And suddenly life was pared down to its essence for me. I was about to turn 47, and I had to ask myself what I wanted to do with the rest of my life, because what I used to do was gone. I had been in the rock band that was just mentioned for 15 years, and that suddenly seemed something that was very done for me. I quit the band and I moved to Central America with my wife for a while. And I was very lost. I didn't have any friends back in New Orleans. The 504 area code actually didn't work for 9 months after the flood. My business contacts were gone. Everything that I knew as life was gone. And my dear friend Sonia Tetlow, who's from Atlanta, yes, she's a wonderful musician and songwriter here in Atlanta. She taught me how to blog and use a computer, which I didn't know how to do because I'm old. And it was handy because I didn't know who I was writing to or if anyone was listening. But it was letting these feelings and thoughts out that I wasn't able to articulate because of shock. And I started blogging while in Belize and blogged for 2 years. My wife and I moved 6 times after the flood, trying to find some place that felt right. And finally we bought a house in November of last year, and life seemed to begin to settle in. And I got a letter from a woman in Australia who had read my blogs and said that she thought they would make a lovely book of essays if I didn't mind her doing so. So I want to thank Tanya Younger and the folks that put it out, and then I'll get on with the reading. It's a group called Threadhead Records. And it's a group of fans, all volunteer. It's a record label that's all volunteer and not-for-profit. Started after the flood, strictly to help musicians affected by the flood. These are an amazing group of people from around the world who just wanted to make sure New Orleans music continued. In the last 3 years, they've raised over $150,000 for the New Orleans Musician Clinic, and they've spent over $150,000 helping musicians make new records. They've put 12 new records into the world. Give Threadhead Records a hand. I have a brand new CD coming out on Threadhead Records at the end of the month, and most of my work is originals, but a friend of mine turned me on to this, and it just seemed appropriate for New Orleans these days, so it's called Farewell to Storyville. I'm going to start with this. All you old-time queens from New Orleans who lived in Storyville, you sang your blues, tried to muse. This is how they pay their bill. The law stepped in, caused it a sin to have a little fun. The police cop has made us stop. Now Storyville is done. slow train. Pick out your steamboat, pick out yourself a train. A slow train. They made you close up, they'll never let you back. Won't let you back. Go buy your ticket, or else you walk the track. No use complaining, blue skies follow rain, the cold rain. No use complaining, blue skies follow rain, the cold rain. Just say farewell now and get you one last thrill. You one last thrill. Say farewell now, farewell to Storyville. No use complaining, blue skies follow rain, the cold rain. No use complaining, blue skies follow rain, the cold rain. Just say farewell now and get you one last thrill. You one last thrill. Say farewell now, farewell to Storyville. Farewell to Storyville. Farewell to Storyville. I haven't read it much, I only wrote it. And I wrote it when I was like, seriously in too much shock to even remember what I was writing. So when I got the call to say, can you start looking at the edits I've done, I was a little shocked, to be honest with y'all, at how raw emotionally I was in public. So I've chosen, for the first piece, to read something that I was hoping would make me weep in front of an audience full of strangers. And I think I picked a good one. It's a section in December of 2007. It's called Where Else Would I Live? I am New Orleans in my heart, and this is where I live. I live in a neighborhood called the Marigny. It's across Esplanade from the quarter and made up largely of Creole cottages, though there are some larger homes as well. It is also where you can find Frenchman Street. And if there exists in this country a magical place where beauty, innocence, decadence, and poetry are available simply by opening eyes, ears, and hearts, then Frenchman is that place. The magic isn't only at night, and the music isn't only in the bars. On our street here in the heart of New Orleans are the usual characters of the city: artists, business people, drunks, harmless liminies, comprise just about any neighborhood in town. And my neighborhood has its share. We also have Mr. Okra and the goat. The goat is a pet of a neighbor a few doors down. He is brown and squat. He gets taken for walks on a leash and has many friends and enemies among the neighborhood dogs. He ignores their barks and struts with the dignity of a sage. In the evenings, when his owner is sitting out on the porch visiting and having cocktails, the goat gets to roam the block freely. It seems so oddly perfect to see a goat wandering toward me from the direction of the French Quarter as a mule-drawn carriage goes clop-clopping by. Then there is Mr. Okra, who is a daily presence on the surrounding streets. Our mayor has gone missing, but Mr. Okra is there for you every day. Mr. Okra drives a red pickup truck piled high with produce. His truck is hand-painted, likely by Mr. Okra himself, in a style that, were it not on a produce pickup truck, would sell for big money as folk art. Mr. Okra has a loudspeaker that crackles as he calls out in that unmistakable New Orleans sound. I got onions, I got greens, I got peaches. Often he'll get a call on his cell phone and forget to turn off the mic. And you get to hear bits of his conversation with a family member or friend. I hear him coming and going for blocks, and it makes me glad I live here. Sometimes Shelley and I will run down to buy something from him just because it's a smile. Usually seeing Mr. Okra is enough to remind me that From Kayville to Tennessee Williams, you don't have to look far to see something so strange that if you write about it, even the locals will say, this isn't real. Yesterday, the city went the extra mile for me. We were riding bikes around the Marigny, and a few blocks away, I heard the unmistakable call of Mr. Oprah. As we got closer, I heard him calling out, but there was a different rhythm. He wasn't calling out alone. In a window of one of the larger houses on the block was a fellow, very inebriated, calling back. He was wearing a fedora, a red velvet jacket, no shirt, and was wrapped in a red velvet curtain so long and large that it blocked any view of the interior of the house, giving the scene the look of a stage play. Mr. Oprah called, I got onions. He called back, I got whiskey. Mr. Oprah answered, I got greens. Mr. Red Velvet Jacket called back, I got vodka. Mr. Oprah called back, I got peaches. And Mr. Red Velvet Jacket answered, I got drunk last night and I still am. That night we drove out to Bayou St. John to have dinner. It's just a short 5-minute drive out to City Park. But we joke about how far it is, about not being able to walk or ride our bikes there, which is one of our rules for socializing since the flood. Can we ride our bikes to it? We were meeting friends and they live on the bayou. As we arrived, we heard the sound of a saxophone playing in the night. Sure enough, down by the bayou on the old footbridge by Cabrini High School was someone playing saxophone in the moonlight. Shelley, who had been so scared to come home after the flood that I thought we'd never live here again, turned to me, smiled and said, where else would I live? The weather is warm, it's December, the windows are open, and there's a Mr. Oprah in the world to remind me every day why I live in New Orleans.
Yes.
Yeah. I have played many shows in my life. I'm going to be turning 50 in November. And I've played in front of no one many times, but I've also played in front of 50,000 people. And I will tell you that this is the most exciting moment for me that I've had in my career, is to read my stories and to play songs to people who are actually listening. Thank you all so much. I have a dear friend in New Orleans named John Boutte. John is a fabulous jazz singer, one of the most beautiful voices in the world. He also is a Creole fella who has the most colorful vocabulary. And the way he just speaks to me is a song. So we've been writing songs together for about 10 years, and shortly after the flood he came over and he said, you know baby, we got to write a song about my sister one day. When she was little, she was the hey now door popping queen of the Treme. And I said to him, John, I'd love to help you write that song if you explain to me what you just said. And he said to me, baby, you live in New Orleans, you don't know what door popping is? And I said, man, I know a lot of New Orleans expressions, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, door popping is when you're so nosy, you stick your face in the screen until you pop the screen out. And then when his sister would pop the screen out and get caught, she'd see somebody she knows, she'd call out, hey now, and it lived in the Treme, which made her the hey now, door popping queen of the Treme. Now, you folks can see right there, it had to be a song once you find out what it means. And we got to the middle section, and John's cousin Vance Bokersong, who's his family's like 5 generations sausage makers, Creole sausage makers in New Orleans. But Vance is a real fine poet and singer, and somebody stopped by with a bottle of wine, and my friend John is easily distracted, and the song wasn't as interesting to him as it was just a moment before. And I said to Vance, well, I can't finish this on my own. I'm from the Irish Channel, you know, it's a different neighborhood. I got to know what it would be like in the Treme. What would they say in the Treme about a gossipy little sister they were trying to make stop? And Vance, he smiled at me and he said, they'd say, Maman Martina with her mauvais ans, making machucan over fresh tonton. And I said, that is perfect. What does it mean? And he explained to me that Maman Martina means my little sister, with her mauvais ans means with her gossipy mouth, making machucan means making trouble. I saw a child just as I was about to say it. I backed off. And over fresh tonton is what they call the end of a piece of French bread, fresh tonton, which you have with your coffee in the morning. So with that in mind, this is a song called Door Poppin', and we wrote this after the flood, so you'd have something to smile about when you thought about New Orleans. Hey now, door poppin', my big sister can't stop gossiping. Hey now, door poppin', mama gonna get you out your ass for sure. My big sister, hey now, door poppin' queen, always got a face pressed up up against the front door screen. Nettie, the fellas and the whole crew made way back at my sister when she say, hey now, door popping, my big sister can't stop gossiping. Hey now, door popping, mama gonna get you and your ass for sure. Sticking her 2 cents in and running her mouth. Always gotta know what somebody's business be about. She, Miss Hino, and Mamu peeking out the shutter straight at you now. Hey now, door popping, my big sister can't stop gossiping. Hey now, door popping, mama gonna get you at your ass for sure. Mama met tea now with her motor face on, making my shoe count over fresh tom-tom. Hey now, door popping, my big sister can't stop gossiping. Hey now, door popping, mama gonna get you and your ass for sure. Hey now, door popping, my big sister can't stop gossiping. Hey now, door popping, mama's gonna get you and your ass for sure. Mama's gonna get you and your ass for sure. Mama's gonna get you and your ass for sure. I'm going to try and remind myself to keep reading, because it's a book festival. I got an official book in front of me. Let's see, I don't even know, how do I pick the one? Because I thought I was reading one piece and there are going to be real writers coming. Let's see, pick one in the middle. I won't even know what it is. I know, that's difficult, right? This one is from January of 2008. It's called That Was a Fun Tune-Up, now on to Mardi Gras. I realize that most of the country is exhausted, exhilarated, and ready to get back to work in the new year. That's sweet. You may even pause now and again to feel badly for us in our struggle here in New Orleans. Thanks. We still need tons of help, but really, it's Mardi Gras season already, and we're getting ready. New Year's Eve was nice. A nice, easy warm-up to the party that Mardi Gras is. How can I explain the difference between the lovely floats of the Rose Bowl parade with happy smiling people on the float waving to happy smiling people in the streets? It's pretty, but where's the buzz? The excitement of getting the gras, catching stuff from the float riders and bringing home piles of worthless, beautiful junk/treasure. How can you really get down and dance to the marching bands going by when drinking in public is illegal? Dancing to the marching bands while carrying a beer is an art form in itself, and a beautiful one if you catch it in the right light. Let's say the light of a flambeau carrier who's dancing along with you. With all respect to the Rose Bowl folks and their very beautiful parade, I like a little funk with my fun. New Year's Eve in New York City, I've done it. Also, good clean fun. With all due respect, the tradition of gathering for hours in Times Square so you can watch the ball drop for 1 minute is a really fun tradition. It's fun to stand amid a sea of celebratory humanity and feel one with hope. But if you throw in some brass bands, a second line, and an all-night party of music in every neighborhood, you've got a party with a kick. Midnight is no time to call it a night. It's time to hit Frenchman Street or Tips or wherever your favorite bands and friends will be until an hour that makes getting up for the next day so you can begin doing the gras again, an heroic act that is indeed celebrated with a round of applause by friends who greet you at that event. Mardi Gras is part celebration and part endurance test. Even fun requires pacing. Something we grew up understanding in New Orleans is that when it comes to partying, pace yourself. Of course, our pace may be a bit more than you're used to, so the second rule for a good time in New Orleans is to eat more than you think you should, drink more than you normally would, stay out way later than you ever have, and please take a nap after lunch. Unless you're reading this from someplace warm like Belize, you may be freezing your ass off in January, so one more reason to come to New Orleans for Mardi Gras. Even if it's cold for us, it won't be cold for you, and you can laugh at us for dressing warm, or laugh along with us, as long as we're all laughing. And on that note, there's a lot of folks who came down, probably some, maybe even in this room, who came down to help in New Orleans after the flood. it still overwhelms me. It still brings me near tears to think that 37,000 teenagers just a month ago paid their own way to come down from the Midwest to gut homes and renovate homes. It's an amazing thing. The heroes are numberless. But somebody had to write a song for their hero. Early on, I felt like the first, they call them first responders, they got some songs written about them. And the second and third responders even got some news coverage and stuff. But then it's been 4 years, and like the 7th and 8th responders aren't getting the same respect, y'all. And I felt like a statement needed to be made. So on my last record, Exit to Mystery Street, I wrote this song for my heroes, the people that are helping me that I couldn't be rebuilding my life and my home and my city without, and most of my friends couldn't be rebuilding their lives without. I'm talking about the people who make the anti-anxiety drugs and the antidepressants, who are helping us rebuild our great city one pill at a time. And I love them for it. I wrote them this song, and it's a catchy little ditty, and if anybody here happens to be, on them, sing along with me. It's called Sedation. I just called to say that everything's been blown away, and I spend all my time here in sedation. Never deal with fear. Now and then one single tear, and then I change my ways and go sedation. And if I find myself alone, I wander to the telephone to ask my pharmacist for medication. Sedation. Sedation. The news, even Katie Couric's got the blues and looks like she could use sedation. Really, it's okay. It's only time I'd waste away. Instead, I'll waste a day here in sedation. And when I turn off my TV, the sky outside's still blue to me. So blue, in fact, it's an hallucination. Sedation. 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 We might even save the nation with S-E-D-A-T-I-O-N. Oh man, na 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 na, na 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 na. And I want my sedation. Make sure you refill Valium, Prozac, Benadryl. The world sometimes requires some sedation. 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 Let's go sedation. Thanks. Always when I play that song in front of kids, I always look at the parents to make sure that I'm not going to get reprimanded.